It is time now to bring in our State House insiders, Antoine Seawright, our Democratic strategist, and Dave Wilson, our Republican strategist. First District Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who's running for governor, making some headlines in the Low Country. An incident involving Charleston police a few days ago where she was quoted as calling them incompetent, among a few other things, guys. Senators Graham and Senator Scott calling her out for all of this, saying she was disrespectful to the police. Nancy Mace's people are saying this is a coordinated effort to basically damage her reputation as she runs for governor. Dave, what are you hearing about all this? What happened down in Charleston with the Congresswoman?
The Congresswoman had this encounter, according to police reports, and they matched up that she basically had a cussing linked tirade because there weren't people there to meet her from her car and walk her to the gate. Now, that is something that elected officials have the ability to do. That's part of a security measure. It also allows them to get through security faster. The airport in Charleston is a hub for economic activity with the tourism comes into the area. So really, do you want to take a swipe at the airport in your district that is central to tourism coming into the area because maybe you got to the airport a little bit late?
Well, I can say this. Attention is the most powerful drug in Washington. And it seems as if Nancy Mace has put that drug in her suitcase and carried it to Charleston, South Carolina, because she is certainly high off of attention. At the end of the day, Nancy Mace is a disgrace to South Carolina and to the Republican Party. If this were a Democrat behaving like this, Republicans would be losing their curtains from their windows, calling for resignation, criticizing, and so forth. But it's been real silent on the Republican side, and I think Democrats should be calling her out because that's what they would have done for us. But more importantly, in these times, particularly in the midst of a Republican government healthcare shutdown, workers are working without pay, etc., we should be uplifting those who are working without pay and those who are doing their jobs. But more importantly, when it comes to law enforcement, the party who claims to be pro-law enforcement should be uplifting and celebrating law enforcement, not cussing at them and trying to embarrass them for doing something that is a privilege, not necessarily a must.
And I think that that's exactly what you saw a lot of Republicans do, Antoine, because they started calling her out on this. I mean, to go so far as Alan Wilson walks in to a TSA with Waffle House waffles, because remember, Nancy Mace had her start in life working at a Waffle House to make, light, not necessarily to make light of the fact, but to tell law enforcement at the airport, listen, you matter to us. And no matter what somebody else chooses to do, that's not the way that we're going to be treating law enforcement in this state.
All right, let's dive into the gubernatorial race as far as the Democratic candidates are concerned. Jermaine Johnson, Representative Jermaine Johnson, making it official now. He is in the race. Are we expecting any other Democrats to jump in?
I certainly think there will be high levels of political flirtation for others to be in the race. Jermaine Johnson is my state representative where I live down in Little Richland. He is a fairly newcomer on the scene. He was able to oust a longtime Democratic incumbent, the late, great Jimmy Bales, in the Democratic primary several years ago. He's made some noise. He's rattled the cage in Columbia, where Republicans control the House and the Senate. So he would join Attorney Mullins McLeod, who's self-financed to this point his race. So it's certainly going to be a money game. There will be some flirtation for others. But if the field does not expand beyond 2 or 3 more, I would not be surprised. And I don't think that's a bad thing for the sake of being unified against the Republican opposition, who will have a bloody political primary on their own front.
We've spent the first half of the Insiders talking about the bloody political front that's going on with the Republicans now. And I think Antoine's right. I think if Democrats can basically hold their powder, so to speak, and say, I'm not going to have anybody else who's going to be getting in this race, there is an opportunity for unity. The question then becomes, whoever that nominee is, are they going to be able to pull in independent voters? Because Republicans outnumber Democrats in the state about 5-4. And so that's a question that's going to come into play once we get to the general election. But guys, we're still a year out from that.
Long way out. All right, Dave, Antoine, guys, as always, thank you so very much for your time.